with men, and that wasn't my intention at all. But as I started doing my work, I realized that all relationship problems are really problems with men. If you have a problem in your relationship, it's entirely the man's job. It's entirely the man's fault. And I think
That's how society sees it,
so
right?
yeah, but they see it in the wrong way. They see it as a man's fault because he's not loving enough. He's not kind enough. He's not.
Right.
But really, it's simply he's not masculine enough. I do work mainly with men, and that wasn't my intention at all. But as I started doing my work, I realized that all relationship problems are really problems with men. If you have a problem in your relationship, it's entirely the man's.
So before we get into my breakdown, let's get into what the Keisha said. Isn't it true she's having an affair with a married rich man? Okay, okay. Accountability. Okay, the comment section updated. Let's get it. Okay, all right, let's get it. Okay, then. Okay, this is from a guy. All right, so I you know what? I did not check the comment section before. I just knew when I first came to the comment section, the Keisha was going crazy. Maybe it's no, it's not over there. Don't worry about it. Anyway, let's see what we got here. Okay. Simple, the best. Damn, where the girls at? Okay, well, you know what? This comment section has updated a lot. And okay, they're not really wilding the way I thought they would. So you know what? All right. So okay, well, you know what? I guess the world is changing. You know, I guess we are doing our job as content creators because I'm proud of y'all.
And it's really nothing to.
But you know, all right, here we go. This right here is the most. How can I say? Women have a habit of only keeping it real by mistake. So this was the reaction I was looking for right here. So check it out. So the girl says, "We've been telling y'all that the men ain't menin no more, but y'all not listening, right?" And this is what I mean by all right. So we go ahead and get started from here. Let's play the clip again.
Communication. It's nothing to do with like love languages and attachments. It's actually very limited to do with that. When a man is simply masculine, he'll have very limited relationship problems because all he will do is select better and behave better. And once you select better and behave better, it's very difficult for you to have relationship issues. And if
So when black women heard her say that, right? What they heard, because again, you got to realize, black women have a hard time seeing black men as men. Cause you got to really think about the fact that what our culture is and what our history is. And again, black men are so blind to all this shit that we don't even think about the history, right? And the fact that we have a history in this country where at some point you were literally the slave of a white man. And not only that, you had to come from under his legislation. It took like 100 years after that, just about, to come completely from under the legislation of white men telling you where you can go to school at, where you could work at, where you could be. It's all types of laws. There used to be laws where like, yo, you can put on your business no color allowed. We don't allow color at the school. All types of stuff, right? So black men haven't factored in the fact that that's a part of how they see us. Not that it's a positive thing, and not that it's fair. But I'm trying to give you more of an idea of where some of this the pathology kind of, I don't say pathology, I'm sorry, where the mindset kind of comes from. And that's why, again, if she's dating outside her race, she's dating an Asian guy, white guy. The white guy does not have to be super handsome, have to have much going on. He could just be white. He could just be a man. She has an understanding that, you know what, he has good days and bad days. He's human, you know, all that type of shit, right? If it's an Asian guy, she can understand him being human, him making mistakes, him not being perfect and stuff like that. Because again, she sees him like as a person. Whereas when it comes to how they look at us, it's just a part of the software. It's just a part of, you know, and that's why we cooked. What this is going to lead to is just a bunch of mulatto kids and mixed kids, all right? Because you're going to get more, you got more black women thinking that swirling is a thing, and they think that I'm going to have a baby with this white guy or this non-black guy, and he going to marry me, because you got to realize that women be trying to buy into other women's stories, especially if it sound good, right? They made child support laws and family court laws for Brad in particular because Brad don't take care of his kids in mass, to the point where they had to make it illegal to not take care of your kids, because that's how much white men don't take care of their kids, bro. You understand? Because that law is not for niggas. If that was the case, then the law would have been niggas gotta pay child support. Not all men, all right? It's because that's the kind of time they was on. And on top of that, any man who's smart right now, bro, it's a terrible investment of your time. Not only that, really anyone in America, honestly, because fam, if you got anything to lose, I don't care if you got actually really any man, you cannot afford to have a child support case. Period. Now in this economy, I could not imagine having hundreds of dollars taken out my check. Because the thing is that men who pay child support, it's not as if they have these extra funds. The regular men make up the majority of the kind of men who actually have to pay child support. It's not just celebrities and rappers and athletes who can absorb the extra cost or who can kind of live with the extra cost. It may just be a minor inconvenience where child support could make a man homeless. All right, because he wouldn't be able to afford his bills. CGA told a story about how he had to live in his car for a little bit because when he first got divorced, the judge awarded that girl with half his salary. He only was making $50,000 a year. So the only thing that he could afford was live in his car. They had roommates until he got on his feet and leveled up. You understand? But anyway, when she says, and I'm like, damn, I don't know if it went over their head or not, but she said, when you were masculine, and here's the thing. Women do not realize that you don't know what masculine means. In their minds, the good things about a man are the things that benefit them directly in a tangible way. The same way a child sees what's good in their parents. Not many kids can really honestly identify what makes a parent a good parent until they get a little bit older. They have an idea that, okay, well, my parents should be able to afford certain things, or they'll look at other adults and say, all right, well, Jimmy's mom has a car, or Jimmy's mom gets him this or gets him that. And these are shallow things, right? But that's their world. So most kids are not going to have appreciation for, man, I got a really patient mom. You know what I mean? Most kids are not going to have appreciation for, like, wow, my dad is like very good with time. He has very good timing, and he's very good with with giving me rules and whatnot. No, it's not. It's not going to happen that way because again, that child is not developed to the point where they've developed appreciation. You have to develop and learn appreciation. I mean, when you're younger, someone has to tell you to say thank you. People didn't always say thank you, okay? These are things that we've done in the world to create a system of self-correction. That's what manners are. That's why it's important to be a lady and a gentleman. What you're really losing, all right, due to a whole lot of penis envy, I'm hoping it's going to be, coming to an end. Because it's getting crazy out there, and I don't know. It's getting rough out there. But anyway, so this is what I think they missed, right? I'm going to play it again. Now, she talks about the reason why a masculine man wouldn't have problems in a relationship. Like I said before, they don't know what masculine means. Masculine means doing the right thing no matter what. Masculine means doing what needs to be done. What is the most effective, deciding what is the most effective course of action. Being masculine means being willing to sacrifice, being willing to take action in a way that will be effective and yield the best outcome. Being masculine is not just fighting. It's not just providing. It's very fucking shallow. All right? Because even with that, you have to know when to provide. You have to know when to fight. Because if not, you'll lose everything. Which is why men have to come to grips with the fact that woman is not your leader. No woman. Now you can learn a little something sometimes, right? You can be entertained by them, right? But you cannot look at her as your leader or look to her to tell you what to do next. You need to think for yourself. That's another aspect of being masculine, is thinking for yourself and solving your own problems. So when she says, when you behave better and choose better, you'll have fewer relationship problems. And I can attest to you, when I began to behave better and become a better man, I had way better interactions with women, period. Even if they was a little bit crazy and whatnot, but especially like post like once I started driving a nicer car, had my own spot and whatnot, my interactions and my relationships in general were way different because I had my own. You know what I'm saying? being able to invite a girl to your space and she can come through the door and get butt naked if she wants to, always is powerful. But let's play it again. Let's play it again.
Really nothing to do with communication. It's nothing to do with like. It's entirely the man's fault, and I
That's
get,
how society sees it, right?
So yeah, but they see it in the wrong way. They see it as a man's fault because he's not loving enough, he's not kind enough, he's not.
Right.
When really, it's simply he's not masculine enough. I do work mainly with men, and that wasn't my intention at all. But as I started doing my work, I realized that all relationship problems are really problems with men. If you have a problem in your relationship, it's entirely the man's job. It's entirely the man's fault. And I
That's how society sees it, right?
So yeah, but they see it in the wrong way.
So when men, she's also speaking to men understanding their responsibilities in relationships. Like I think it was Crimson Cure who said the man has guardianship in the relationship, meaning that if something happens to that man, no one's going to. Let's say he gets physically hurt or he gets in an accident, whatever, right? If anything happens to that man, no one's going to confront the woman that's with him and say, "What happened? Like, why didn't you or this, whatever, right?" Whereas if anything's to happen to a woman, people would hold the man present accountable. So therefore, he has guardianship. Wherever a man is at, he's always responsible for whoever's around him. Even if it's his friends. His friends will still say, well, you not responsible for, but your friends are looking for you to have their back and to act in their best interest as well. Right? So everyone kind of relies on you to make the best decisions when you're the man. And that also goes for your relationships. And that's why the man has to set a lot of rules. You know, like in my last relationship, like, yo, listen, I was like, yo, we're not going to have this relationship where we're not respectful, we're fighting, and you know, we're just having all this chaos, you know. And I heard Crimson Cure make this point about how some women enjoy the experience of breaking up to make up, so they enjoy having fights, arguing, and stuff like that because they want to experience. If emotion is a spectrum, if emotion is a how can I say, a pie and whatnot, she wants to have the entire pie. She wants to eat the entire pie. Okay. So anywho, play this again.
Love languages and attachments. It's actually very limited to do with that. When a man is simply masculine, he'll have very limited relationship problems because all he will do is select better and behave better. And once he
select better, behave better. What she's also speaking to is when you become more masculine, you recognize when other women are masculine, and it becomes way more unattractive to you. All right, you're more attracted to a woman who's soft spoken. Man, listen. I am a sucker for a passive aggressive, soft spoken woman with a lot of manners. Oh my God, you know what I mean? Listen, I got this girl I know. Every time I see her now, she ain't really the prettiest, but to me, she's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Because you know she blacker than a motherfucker. You know what I mean? And you know she always look nice. Now she not really like she's sexy. But not sexy in a way where like it's like, oh my God. It's more like, you know, she's what I like. You know what I mean? But more than that, like her whole personality, you know, she's very much, you know, like how can I say, reserved. You know, seem like she don't got much swag really, but you could tell, you know, like she's a girl. You know, and with the more masculine you are, for one, you have less tolerance for bullshit. When I was younger and I was still, I'm not gonna say in my feminine, but I thought more like a woman in terms of wanting help, in terms of wanting things to be communal, in terms of wanting to do things together, not understanding. Don't get me wrong, you do need support, you do need help, but certain things you do in life is going to be a solo mission, right? And the faster you realize that, you make more progress. Versus, you know, having resentment, you know, for your loved ones or for a friend of yours because you feel as though they're supposed to do this business with you or do this venture with you. It's like, friend, y'all, you're a friend. Like it's really tough for friends. We base that off of people who are business partners who became friends versus being friends who became business partners. That never works. At best, y'all could be friends. Y'all could support one another and give each other information, not try to do things together. That's just not a good idea. All right, because someone's going to always fall short. It's always going to be an issue, And then when it's time to cut ties, it's not as easy to cut ties or to end the business relationship. And usually you're probably going to lose both. You know what I mean? It's like having sex. You understand? But anywho, I wanted to react to this real quick. So I actually had another Sadia Khan clip I want to get into, and I figure why not since we're here, you know? So check this out.
When we get into that conversation specifically about like children, I'm like, I think it's healthy to teach your children to be confident and love yourself. And if you get back to the space of like even where the term narcissist comes from, and the tale is like it was a person who just loved himself so much that he loved his reflection.
Yeah, that's a Greek. Yeah, and I did.
That's not the story of Narcissus. No. He saw himself in the water. He loved himself so much that he saw himself in the water and tried to jump in there to kiss himself, which is kind of gay. Yo, the Greeks is mad gay, bro. Some gay shit. Anyway, but the idea was being so self-absorbed that he wound up destroying himself. Like he drowned. He died. All right, that's the whole point is that vanity will kill you. That's the point, right? But not only that, y'all doing some serious conflation. A narcissist complex can be a very dangerous thing. It will ruin a person. When you experience someone who's an actual narcissist, as in a person who cannot be wrong, a person who doesn't feel bad about things they do, because Nick Cannon has admitted to being a narcissist, right? Because a narcissist, again, does not have empathy. Like when you're a real narc, right? But what we've done is use that word and go wild with it and run wild with it. And I never forget the first times I've heard someone say the word narcissist. At the time, I didn't realize that these girls are using this word and using this label to make themselves sound better in the story that they tell me about their ex. And I'm like, damn, you ever had a narcissist tell you what a narcissist is? Oh, that was the bar. Yeah, the first time I heard about that word was from probably the biggest piece of shit. As far as like the women I met in my life, like she is probably like one of the most terrible women ever. Now I never gave her enough like rope or enough like room to like really do me dirty, but it's the kind of girl who will do you like very dirty, right? Like real nutcase. But back then, perfect example. I was nowhere near as masculine as I am now. First of all, me and her would have never even spent time together. Not only that, I would have been more accepting of the fact that she was a bum bitch. A lot of guys can't accept because what guys will do, especially when they ain't doing that good in life. Because at the time I'm like, well, if I get with a girl who ain't got shit, she'll see me like, you know, she'll think highly of me. Or guys will think, all right, well, if I get with this big girl, she gonna think highly of me, rather than becoming the kind of guy that she'll think highly of. Basically, becoming the kind of guy that women in general think highly of. And just giving it 2 to 5 years. Because it may not take 5 years to make a major change in your life, to level it. Listen, like within a year, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not making all the money in the world and whatnot, but for the most part, I'm making way more than I was making last year. Like a lot more, you know what I mean? So I'm not that far away from 6 figures again, you know what I mean? So I just got to make about $31,000 and I'm at $100,000, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like over 70. So for the most part, I can, let me see. Yeah, I can make about 72,000, like with my income now. But of course, with the economy, I don't really mean shit. You gotta make about shit. You gotta make about. I need about 1,500 more a month. Really 3,000. I need about 4,000 or 5,000 more a month. Like real talk. If you're not making $6,000 a month, yo, it's hard to make if you're not making $6,000 a month right now. But anyway, a little sidebar. But yeah. So the first time I heard those words were from like terrible people. Now this is someone who almost lost their kids to the system. This is somebody who like definitely was on the spectrum of selling pussy. Because when I found out that she was a dancer, I was like, oh shit, that explains everything about you. Oh shit, oh my gosh. I remember seeing her on Instagram, and I'm like, now mind you, she never told me that she danced. He never told me that she would be dancing. And I remember seeing her on Instagram, I'm like, why it seem as though like you in the club? And I don't know. I just right away. I just got the vibe of I don't feel as though you're successful at this. I'm like, oh shit. She sells pussy there. I didn't know that. Sorry, I had no idea. But I'm just saying, like, this is someone who was telling me these stories about her being with a narcissist. You know what I mean? And at the time, I didn't really get that. Women don't look at traits like being honorable and honest and reliable as things that are attractive. They may know, okay, this makes you like a good person to use, right? Because she was also like a big user, but she was a real like Janae Aiko type. You know what I mean? Where she was like a real like Janae Aiko type, where they mask being toxic and being a piece of shit in all these fly terms and all this fly terminology and whatnot, and terms like community, and allies and all that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Moderate and a cis man and cisgender. Yeah, listen, I just feel like whenever straight people start saying cisgender, cis man, cis, I'm like, what? Get the fuck out of here! What? I remember Crimson Cure making this. I think she said prefix. She said, "Listen, no, don't prefix me. I'm not no cis woman. All right? No, you the one that's bugging out. You the one that's bugging. Don't call me. I can't stand that. But when we start doing that, that was the beginning of like the real fall. Because that's when we started getting really like the lines of reality started getting super duper blurred to the point where we didn't realize, none of this makes any fucking sense. Because around that time, right, that's when these debates about should this man be allowed to use this girl's bathroom became really prevalent. But anywho, let's go ahead and just watch the clip real quick. I know I've been zoning out.
I think it's become a term that women particularly use every time they've been heartbroken. But you're not a victim, you're a volunteer when it comes to narcissistic behavior. The narcissist is like, I'm going to do me. If you want to do you, you can do you, but I'm going to do me.
When we get into that conversation specifically about like children, I was like, I think it's healthy to teach your children to be confident and love yourself. And if you get back to
It's your job to either do you or not do you. Now, you can't then claim to be victim when they pretty much show you everything that they're about to do and going to do. And especially in your case, it's like there's been relationships, they know what they're getting. So anyone that then enters a relationship with you and then says, oh, Nick was such a narcissist.
I accuse you of camping.
You knew. So the victims of narcissists, I think they need a wake-up call. They just like it. It gives them a temporary relief to believe that they're not involved in this dynamic. But when you accept narcissism, you also have a desire to be a victim. There's something in you that likes to be a victim, and that's more dangerous than the actual narcissist.
And this is the limit of a woman's logic when it comes to these kind of conversations. Now, like, she's saying some things that sound logical, right? But it's a lot of conflation. First and foremost, we have to, again, define what a narcissist is. A narcissist is mostly someone who has a disorder where they do not have empathy or sympathy. They don't feel bad about anything they do, and they also feel as though they're better than other people, and they see people more like commodities, something to be used, okay? They're not able to see a person as a whole person. They see a person for what they're useful for, right? And also they're willing to go to manipulate the other person by any means necessary. They look to have complete control over people in counsel or relationship. These kind of people usually seek out positions of power, such as management, fame, stuff like that, right? What she's referring to, and this is what it kind of, because she starts off by saying women throw around the term narcissist whenever they've been heartbroken, but I'm going to call bullshit on that. Women throw around the term narcissist. Let's just say narc when they didn't get what they wanted or they severely misjudged. Because you got to realize the way that women use the word narc, it can apply to anyone that you don't like. You can always tell someone that you never know when you're wrong. You can always tell someone you don't seem to understand me, or you know what, like, what's wrong with you? How can you, like, you should feel terrible, or wow, like you don't feel bad. You're a narc. Oh wow, you know what? You use me. Six packs, you use me for these goodies. I'm being too bad. I'm being bad, man. I'm sorry, man.
I want your body.
I'm sorry.
If you love me, let me get your body.
I think what she meant to say was, okay, ladies, let's go with that. Let's say you are victims. If you are victims, then that would mean that you are volunteer, because you're saying that you can tell this person, and now again, they don't specify whether or not they mean that they can tell that this person was a narc in hindsight, or you come into it knowing that this person's a narc. But let's say we go with that, and if that's the case, you are a volunteer. You know what you're getting into. And even with that, it's like this whole. I feel like Nick Cannon's style of interviewing is very much to kind of vibe with and which is not, it's not ineffective because it does get them to talk. But sometimes him having that interview style where he doesn't really challenge the guest, and not only that, Nick Cannon is not really someone who strikes me as someone that has like a, how can I say, like a solid philosophy on all these things. He seems like a really cool guy, but it doesn't really give me even to feel like he's someone that I want to like listen to. But another level of conflation is when she mentioned that basically Nick's romantic life with him having several women that he has children with. Now, mind you, all the kids he had, right? All the women knew that he had other kids. So, in that situation, they understood what they were getting into, and it's understandable that, okay, you're not the only one, or you're number 9 or 10. I don't know how many baby mothers he got, but it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot of baby mothers. But anywho, so in his situation, like that kind of fits where you know what's going on. You have information. You're not coming into it not knowing that it's what type of time he's on. And I'm sure that Nick Cannon's not the other kind of guy who has time to kick it like that and be around you all day long and spend, vacations and all types of stuff and have dinner and stuff like that, right? So in that scenario, the whole I'm going to do me thing, that makes more sense. But she said like 3 or 4 things at one time, right? And this is like the unfocused nature of a woman's leadership, and this is why men gotta understand, bro. You have to decide things for yourself, make your own decisions. All right, choose for yourself. Not only that, women respect you more, way more. Always hold frame. But anywho, over here at 4.